I can, I can at least post all of this to my website. How are you feeling?
Much better, thank you. That was a scare. The
Yeah.
abdominal stuff.
So you're feeling better now?
Yeah, I've got GERD disease, so I'm always going to get ulcers, but this one was a big one in my duodenum. So it just felt like I was getting stabbed in the stomach. It was terrible.
Yeah. Well, at least you got a chance to kick back afterwards and recover.
Yeah, yeah, I'm on medication now that I'll be on the rest of my life, so it helps a lot.
So you're back at work, but working remotely, or do you generally work remotely anyway?
We always do. We actually, Lou Arnberg, our sales guy, is the only guy in the States. My editorial director, David, is in Bangkok. He moved there in 2010 because he loves the Philippines. And then our production and design teams are in the Philippines. Oh, he loves Thailand. So he lives in Thailand. They all live in the Philippines.
Huh.
So they are 13 hours different than me. So a lot of times I'll get up at 3 in the morning because I sleep weird hours and work with them and then go to bed from 6 to 10 and do that. So
Yeah, I know when I'm overseas, which has been a while, I get the 5 a.m. phone call from someone who thought that I was back in the States. It's like, really? It's 5 in the morning here.
yeah.
Uh, but at a certain point, uh, it's really not bad. I mean, as long as you're prepared for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how's everything going at work?
It's good. I'm kind of finally getting caught up. Have to get caught up for these next two issues because Printing United so early in the month, and
I
we're actually
know.
we're actually printing 1,500 issues, screen printing instead of it just being a digital mag. So it'll get a little print distribution. So those have to be on time because they're being printed. So slowly but surely got us on time. Covering a lot more. We'll talk about this. Covering a lot more of digital decorating because so many screen printers are doing that, and we're hearing so much bad stuff in the industry about the big equipment manufacturers like Rock and GSG had a bunch of layoffs, and Workhorse is suffering. And
It's kind of strange because I've been checking with a lot of people, and certainly it impacts me as well. Um, it was kind of like, why all of a sudden is everything slowing down?
hmm
And the general feeling is that the money from COVID, which was kind of quote unquote free money, which
hmm
they spent rather easily,
hmm
ran out. And
hmm
so, like the first half of the year, last year, uh, things were still booming like crazy. And then all of a sudden, seemed like it just stopped and it hasn't started again.
hmm
And I think, and certainly that all makes sense to me. I mean, a lot of companies got a huge amount of money, spent it on all kinds of equipment and stuff, and everything was booming along. And then all of a sudden they realized, you know what? Now we're into our own money. We're going to stop all this purchasing. And
hmm
so you have all of the uh, machine companies, et cetera, um, cutting back now because they're just not getting the business. I'm quite involved with Vastex, and they're going through the same thing, saying things just dried up.
That's why, Lawson Dave's gone so digital with Taylor at the helm. They're having a DTF demo day in a couple of days in Atlanta. That's all DTF, so they're really pushing their digital.
Well, everyone is. I mean, obviously, DTF is a big thing. Uh, Here we go. Sean's on, so we'll see what's going on in the Atlanta area.
Okay, good. I love Sean.
Um, you know, DTF has jumped into, hey, how are we were just talking about you. Uh,
Hi.
Hey, Marcia, how are you doing?
Good. It's been a month of Sundays.
It has been.
That's
You're
good.
you're
looking
looking
good.
good.
Thank you.
You're finding, we were talking about how things seem to be drying up for a lot of the equipment manufacturers. You finding on your side of things that things are still moving along, or uh,
No, we hit a frickin' brick wall middle of last month. Or no, middle of May.
Mm.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
And
it feels like from what I've been hearing, everybody is extremely slow right now, and I've never seen that much of a summer hit happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're hearing it's tough out there.
You know, usually May is pretty well a strong kickoff to summer as opposed to a drop. Um, for years and years, and I mean, as far back as I can remember, you know, May was kind of like you got your feet into the water a little bit. And then June, July, August, you know, just blew up and went crazy. And doesn't seem to be going quite as crazy this year.
No, our first quarter was up 40% over last year. Last year was our best year ever, and we've lost all that. Yeah.
Well, you know, when you have a 40% bump, I mean, that's it'd be wonderful if you could maintain it, but that's probably not very realistic.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not pulling my hair out right now. I mean, it's falling out naturally, but I'm not assisting.
Well, you know, a little help. What the hell? Um, where are you finding your business is moving towards? Doing more embroidery, you're doing more screen print, are you getting pushed into DTF and going that way?
We we've been doing DTF since probably 2021.
Right.
We're not investing in the equipment because we learned that with early adopting DTG. And it's such a pain in the butt. You still have the issues with equipment and running it up every day to make sure nothing clogs up. And there's a lot to be there. And if I think once we start hitting $300 to $500 a month in DTF transfers, we might start looking at the possibility of bringing the equipment in. But I mean, we're getting good product from several sources, and there's really no need to jump on that expense right now.
Are you finding
Yeah.
your customers have any idea what it is and what the difference is to request it, or they just, that's what you're offering at a price point and a quality that they like?
Well, actually, the price point's not too far off of embroidery, but
Really?
since the way we do it, because um, the the we've been selling a lot of that on high-end performance polos because everybody, when you get that, under 4 ounce fabric, it doesn't matter how good your digitizing is or what backing you're going to use. It's always going to have some form of crumpling or pointing up after you wash it. And the DTF eliminates that completely. So the ones that we can get, and the colors stay nice and bright, and it's a nice product. And I think it actually is a better look, because it does not look like it was a screen printed polo. It looks like a printed polo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm. What are you doing, Charlie?
Huh?
What are you doing?
I'm fine, actually.
Oh.
Um, you're finding that you're getting a fair amount of embroidery as well as screen print, or you're finding that screen print is starting to slack off a bit or not? Screen
Oh
print is
yes.
down right now?
Screen printing has been down for most of this year.
Mm.
Huh.
Um, and we're still probably doing, I think we got close to a 60 apparel, 40 promo, but I think we've gone up to a 70 apparel, 30 promo this year.
Mhm.
Um, and um, we find that our embroidery is where we're doing most of our stuff at.
So you're doing more shorter runs, you're doing moderate size?
Um, Current customers can do reorders at 12 pieces,
Right.
but we rarely ever do less than that.
Okay. On the screen print side, you're finding that you're doing more off the manual or or are you pushing on the automatic?
We pretty much only use the manual to print our boxes.
Okay. Well, you gotta do something with it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's there. Um, but and that's just because it's easier to stretch the automatic size screens than it is to sit there and change all the little brackets to stretch the manual screens. So we
Okay.
rarely mess with that too much.
Marsha, on your end, screen printers you're talking to, you're finding that many of them are getting decent size orders or, in terms of, what used to be considered a good size order, or 1,000, 5,000 piece orders? Or are they
No,
basically, they're not even going in that direction for the most part right now?
no, everybody's down. And like we were talking about before Sean jumped on, I'm hearing a lot from the manufacturing, from the equipment end, a lot of layoffs at some of the big suppliers and equipment manufacturers. A lot of them aren't making as much or any equipment anymore. And it's just really this, it's because the screen printers are really hurting. I think a lot of it is this influx of digital, because you stop and think, and I also do big picture, which is wide format and signage and backlit signage and car wraps. And why is there not a need for this? These are, not sustainable products. You always need t-shirts. So I don't understand why we're in such a lull again. But, a lot of it, is it the economy? Is it the election? Who knows? I hear economy a lot, but you never know if that's somebody just with their political views.
I think that, I think politics is definitely making people a little more conservative right now.
Mhm.
Well, what are your thoughts behind better product but fewer pieces? Because we've been selling a ton of the higher end name brand stuff. I mean, we our pretty much go-to base shirt is a Bella 3001 or 3001 CVC. And that's a
Mm,
$4.5 shirt, depending on when you get it.
mhm,
Compared to a Gildan or a PC61 or something at $2.5.
mhm.
Um, but I think people are actually going, 'cause we've been selling more towards what do you want the shirt to do? Do you ever want it to be worn again? Do you want it to be do you want it to be your weekend shirt or something like that? But we'll always end up getting them into a softer, at least a ring spun, if not up to a tri blend,
Mhm.
just
I think,
because they're wanting the nicer products.
yeah, and I think that's a good thing. If you're getting the higher profit margin, it's better than doing a bunch of, I'm not gonna say cheap stuff, but the bigger
But your
runs.
volume is lower because their budgets don't allow,
Yeah,
Right.
a 30% increase.
Well,
yeah,
anytime shirts were giveaways, they were always on cheap shirts because nobody wanted to spend the money on something that might be used to wash your car. And so,
yeah.
you
Especially
know,
for like event shirts. Like when we went to ISA, Charlie, my biggest fear at the ISS, every time we went through new management, I was like, please God, don't make us wear polo shirts with beige dockers and look like we work at Target. I will die. Because I was overweight at the time, and I'm like, don't please. So never did, but now Smart Work wants us to wear them the last day of the show. So I ordered a large and ended up with a 3XL. The thing looked like a dress. So it's like event shirts, you're only going to wear once. And then, like you said, wash your car with them. So you want to, like you were saying, Sean, you want to quantify and qualify them for exactly what their needs are.
certainly I'm a fan of, even on event shirts, depending on if it's an event situation where you're buying the shirt, then I think it should be on a higher quality shirt. If it's going to be one of these freebie giveaways that you're just kind of tossing out there, they're not going to wear it very much because it's going to be blasted with all kinds of, logos and stuff that nobody really cares about. Of course, every company wants their logo on a shirt, um, mixed in with the 25 other logos that are all over the back of a shirt, which makes no sense to me. I mean, even the shirts that I do for, workshops and stuff, I never put type on them. I want somebody to actually wear the damn thing.
Mhm.
That's, and it's a Delta shirt or a Gildan shirt, or it's, Aviance Inc. Do they really care? You know, I mean, what they really want is a nice looking design on a shirt, period.
Mhm.
And I wish some of the companies that um, do these giveaways would get a better understanding that people would probably enjoy the shirt more just as a design as opposed to an advertisement for them. But
Mhm.
we are in that business anyway. And if you do want to advertise it, then advertise the hell out of it, but put it on something that someone's going to want to really wear.
Mhm. Speaking
Speaking
of
of
Delta,
Delta Apparel, you see all the
Yeah,
problems they're running into?
that's what I was just about to say. Chapter
yeah.
11 and the stock exchange delisted them.
I know.
I mean, they're selling off the Salt Life,
Yeah.
and they killed their DTG to go program, which should have been killed 4 years ago.
Mhm.
I know. I got in touch with Mary, and all of a sudden, I was told Mary is no longer there,
Yeah, Jeff Brown told me that,
and it was like, oh, and by the way, you were supposed to send me shirts. Yeah, we're not going to be able to do that. Oh, well, that's really nice. A day and a half before a workshop that I have to do.
oh no. Yeah,
So
from
that
Facebook, it
was
was,
exciting.
yeah.
Now I have to find someone else to work with. So
Oh, no.
You know, they shot them, and I know this is probably going to be recorded and they can listen to it, but they shot themselves in the foot by trying to become a apparel distributor when they should have had their product sold by Sanmar, SNS, or Alpha Broder. They would have sold a whole lot more product because it would have been combined with all the free shipping, but having to go to them to try and get that stuff never was convenient.
mm. Well, you know, they had I mean, I used to go to their facility in El Salvador where they did all their cut, sew, print, etc. And they did have a pretty good sized operation going at one time. Why it dried up and the way in which it dried up is kind of amazing to me.
I mean, I love their shirts. Their Platinum series they're awesome shirts, but it's terrible to see that happen.
Yeah.
Mhm. And for Sophie to go away, I mean, go back to the 70s and 80s, those were like the classic cheerleading short. And then the kids all started wearing them. And remember in the 90s, they had the roll down band and it sold it with markers and you could put your team name on them. And yeah,
Interesting. So, and it sounds like, I don't know, you think they're going to recover it all?
I don't know.
I have no clue. I mean, it sounds like they're really liquidating, but I don't know.
You know, but
Is
they own
Chapter
so many,
11 a restructure?
well, they own so many different brands though. You know, it wasn't just Delta. You know, when you opened their catalog or when you went online, they had everything from, I don't even remember the brands, but they own quite a number of different brands. And just wondering what happens to that whole thing. I mean, it just seems to have disappeared, I guess. I wonder if
Well, it
any,
also makes me wonder, is it similar to what happened to Colorado Timberline when they got hacked and it immediately killed them? It shut them down, like closed the doors. Maybe something like that happened and they're not disclosing it yet. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, Colorado Timberline was a strange company anyway, but you know, the owner was um, very interesting, shall we say. Um, I don't know anybody who really got along well with him, but nevertheless, that's the way life goes on sometimes. Um, I don't know. Delta's just, you know, it just kind of shocked me when all of a sudden they were like, boom,
Mhm.
no indication of anything going on, and then kaput, or for the most part. I know that, you know, when I got in touch with them about shirts, they actually had space at the show in Long Beach and never showed up.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
You know,
Is that
so
the show you have shirts for?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if it was the Long Beach show or the Atlantic City show, but in one of them, they had already, you know, in the brochure, it had them listed, et cetera, but they were a no show. strange. So what else is going on?
Marcia, are you still in Georgia? Where'd you move?
I moved back to Dallas 2.5 years ago. So I'm living with my son's family. My only grandchild, my granddaughter's 10, and she's severely autistic nonverbal. So I help them out. All three of us work at home, but I work weird hours. I was telling Charlie, there's only one person in the States that I work with. Everyone else is in the Philippines or Thailand. So they work during our nighttime. So lots of times I'll get up at like 3 in the morning and work for several hours and then go to sleep till 10 and then help her in the summer because summertime's challenging with all three of us trying to work and she's got nothing to do. So,
Yeah, and it's hotter than sin in the South.
oh,
Yeah.
I know. I grew up in Houston, which with the humidity and uh,
Yeah,
So
you
do
get
you,
them trapped inside the house because that's the only nice place to be.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
So, so do you get a chance to go over to the Philippines or Thailand or?
No, but I told David, the group content director, I said, we definitely need an editorial getaway to Phuket. No,
Oh,
he's actually coming over in August because his daughter's going to go to Mizzou. She wants to follow his footsteps and be a journalist, one of the best in the country next to Northwestern and Columbia in New York, and not Columbia in Missouri. But so he'll be over here for the whole month of August because the girls want to go to the school in the States, but they grew up in Thailand. So I would really love to.
yeah. I got to go to Thailand once, and of course I got there in time for their revolution or whatever, their uprising,
Uh-oh.
uh, which was kind of exciting. FESPA was doing the show there, and
Uh-huh.
the yellow shirts and red shirts decided to have their uprising at that point. So they tried to close down the main airport, which they did a good job of, or the new airport. Um, I had taken Susie and Amy with me. And so we were going down to Phuket for a week of kicking back and then coming up to Bangkok to do the show. And so flying in was no problem, got down to Phuket, no problem. And then they closed the airport. And fortunately, I had enough status, so I was able to fly up to the old airport. Um, got up there, went into the show, and I don't know, 80% of the booths had freights in them, but no people.
Oh
Uh,
no.
they couldn't get in. And the only way you can get in was there was a military base that the US used to bomb Vietnam during the Vietnam conflict that had one runway. And so some of the commercial flights were coming into that. And so you got drips and drabs of people who came in, but um, at that time, Fraser was still with Vespa, and he and Nigel Steffens, the CEO at the time, were in Dubai and couldn't get out to get to the show. So they were stuck in Dubai for like 4 or 5 days and finally decided to go back to England. And I did the first day of the show. Susie and Amy came with me, did a helicopter ride around. That night went out on a river tour, got to see some of the sights. Susie and Amy, in the meantime, are going shopping all day.
Of course.
And the next day they said, here's the deal. We can get you out, but you got to leave now, or meaning that day, or you're stuck here for a week. And I had an opening coming up later that week for my paintings. And so I really needed to get back. They had to charter a flight or they put us on a chartered flight. So to get us out, we had to leave that day, which we spent all day long getting up to the military airport. They picked us up at 7 in the morning, got to the military airport about 4 in the afternoon with thousands of people all over the place. Got us onto the charter flight to Singapore for the night. And that little joint was an extra $7,800. And
Oh
then,
my God.
so then we get to Singapore. It's about 11 o'clock at night. And Susie's saying, we're going to starve to death. We haven't eaten since 7 this morning. And it's probably not going to be anything open. Singapore never goes to sleep. So that was not a problem. We were in the middle of the Chinese area. Food was spectacular.
Mm.
costs in Singapore, if you've ever gone, are insane. I mean, we were at Holiday Inn for 450 a night.
My God.
Got out the next day, flew up to Taiwan and hooked up to the flight that we were supposed to be on, and ended up getting food poisoning up in Taiwan. That was me. And
Oh,
finally got home, which only took about, I don't know, 40 hours or so, 50 hours. I'm not sure. Love,
unbelievable. I
love,
think I
love.
remember this.
I tell you what, though, Thailand was amazing, although we didn't get a chance to really get to see much of it. We did get to kick around with people from Vastex who went a different route and ended up coming home a week later.
Mm.
If you do get the chance, I mean, it's an amazing place, but bad timing on my side. Well, not on my side, on Vespa's side. So
Yeah.
that show was a total bust. I mean, um, nobody could get in or out. No people. The only people who could show up were the locals. Well, you know, that's okay, kind of, but not really. That's not what they were looking for. And so I don't think they haven't done another show in Thailand since. We'll see what happens. So what do you think about the whole thing about Printing United being done before the ISS show in Fort Worth? That seems kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, lots of times it's when you can get the convention center, but they're big enough and they've been there long enough. You would think, I don't know if it's why the dates are like that, why they're so early.
Well, we're going to definitely hit some nice hot temperatures there. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
September in Vegas. Yeah, not the coolest place on earth.
No, and there's no time to lay by the pool. That's the worst part.
Yeah. So you're going to be at the show, yes?
Who are you talking to?
Huh?
Who are you talking to?
Both of you.
Oh yeah, we have a booth for big picture screen printing and Signs of the Times. It's my understanding at this point, they're putting all the publications on the second floor in a ballroom.
Huh.
So we'll see how that goes because we have our Women in Wide Format Awards and the Women in Screen Printing Awards, which are the really big esteemed deal. We got tons of nominations. In fact, that's what I'm doing right after this is getting those together for the judging panel. But they'll be presented in the September, October issue, and then I got to do a presentation for the winners. They get real nice plaques, and we take their picture by the banner and everything. So that'll all be going on there.
You
And
still have that open for women?
no, it closed July 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, did you have somebody?
No, no, no. I was just
Oh.
wanted to get it out there.
Yeah, we promoted it pretty heavily, so we actually didn't have to extend the deadline. Most of the awards competitions I've done over my career, we always have to extend a week, so I always build that in. But there's just a lot of great ladies out there because it's not just on technical and creative expertise, either as a PSP in the wide format and digital world or traditional screen printing. It's also about community leadership, philanthropic efforts. Do you donate your printing services to the local municipality or schools, or do fundraising, or anything that makes a woman more of a leader? In addition, doesn't have to be the owner of the printing company, can be a print operator or just a woman that's making a difference. So it's pretty cool. It's the 6th year in a row we've done women in screen printing, and I'm sorry, I don't remember on women in wide format. I think it's been longer. Actually, this is the 5th annual women in screen printing. So it's pretty cool. So we'll have 6 winners in each, and I will be notifying them if anybody's listening and got nominated, because I think a lot of the nominees tell their people they're nominating them because they have to get so much information. It's a pretty long nominations form. And so I'll be contacting them next week to let them know and invite them, and hopefully they can be on site to accept in person because that's always better.
I still love going to Vegas. So to me, that's where they should be doing the show all the time. Of course, they don't. But yeah, to me, I think any show that goes to Vegas is going to get better attendance than if they go anywhere else.
Well, especially with it being such an international show and that being an international destination,
I agree. I mean, you want someone from overseas to come over, you need to give them a reason, and Vegas is always a good reason.
Yeah, it's better than Disney.
They can get everything they want there.
Yeah, and I'll see you at the penny slots, Charlie.
And and then more. Now I'm looking forward to going to that one. Um,
Where are you staying?
I'm not even sure yet. I think I booked something, but it's been so long ago, I'd have to go back and try and figure out where I am. I know I'm not too far from the convention center. That was one of the things that I decided that I didn't feel like hassling being on the other side of town.
Yeah, I'm way at the end of the strip, and it's like, here goes $800 in Uber or cab rides.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Vegas. As long as you're out of there by the end of Friday, you're not in too bad a shape financially. Friday
Mhm.
night goes a little crazy. Saturday night goes totally insane.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well, I went out for the PPAI show in January,
right,
and they've changed so many things in the gambling side. Half the amount of servers. So if you're waiting for free drinks, you're waiting for free drinks.
Uh,
Um, yeah, so but I did find out that if you actually start playing the little card things at the bar, they will give you free drinks once you sit down and start playing. So it's cheaper than the $18 draft beer they're going to give you.
yeah.
Um, and then what was the other one? Oh, they I didn't see a roulette table with less than a $10 minimum per spin. And on roulette, it's typically just a single zero, double zero on green.
yeah.
They've actually added a third one with the marquee of the hotel on it. So they added another portion to get them just another fraction of the percent to the house. And
Oh.
I don't think people are realizing it. So yeah, they're doing things to really get it back from, I think, 2020.
Hmm.
I have to admit, every time I've played roulette, I've lost my behind on it. I mean, it's all you're doing is you're putting chips down, and it's kind of like never hits.
That's like
Yeah.
Whatever.
me and craps.
I love the crap table actually.
I've learned that 5 different times and I still don't remember how to play.
I have no idea. I do 7-Eleven and pass line.
All right, so I'll tell you how I learned it. You ready? The very first time we did the standalone workshop for ISS was in Atlantic City in 1986. And it was 2.5 days long. It was myself doing screen print, Mark Bennett was doing marketing, and Greg and Barbara Camaro were doing embroidery.
Oh,
And so
wow.
the end of the first day, I remember I had 21 people in my workshop, which was pretty good considering, oh, and it was a standalone, no show attached. They weren't sure if it was going to work or not. Vern Packer had gotten in touch with me, said, what do you think? Okay, we'll give it a try. So at the end of the first day, they booked us they put us on buses. They took us over to Atlantic City Community College. And Atlantic City Community College has a full casino in the basement where they teach gambling, where they teach dealers. And so we get there, and as you're coming in, they're giving you this massive handful of chips, and you can go to any kind of table you want. And as they're teaching the dealers, you're learning about the table. I always wanted to learn about the crap table because, I mean, when I was a kid working in the Catskills, when we shot dice, it was against the wall.
Hmm.
And it was 7-Eleven, make your number, and that was it. None of these world bets or easy way, none of that existed. In any event, we go over and we go to the crap table. And as they're teaching the guys, we're learning that you can buy the back line or you can do a come bet, which will go to the back. You have your come bets, you have your backup bets, which are giving you odds, and you're learning this whole thing. And so we ended up spending about, I don't know, 2 hours or something like that, playing around there. Then, of course, that's over. And so we decided, okay, we'll go to the casino now and do it for real. And so it was my ex-partner, Dick, and I, and two girls from the class. And so the four of us threw in about $100 a piece and went to the crap table. And we had a ball and ended up winning some money, which was kind of fun.
Hmm.
The next day, Don Newman came to speak at my session I said, hey, Don, come in, you can talk for 10 minutes. About 45 minutes later, he was finally done. If you ever deal with Don Newman, there is no such thing as a quick conversation with him. Matter of fact, when we used to have to pay for our cell phones, it was like, you call me because I'm not calling you because I know my bill is going to go ballistic. In any event, he comes over, does a session with us. And so we said, hey, we're going gambling. You want to join us? And he said, well, I don't have any money. So lent him some money. One of the girls did. In any event, we go to the crap table, and now Don is sitting on his little seat because of his bad back, and he's the shooter. And so he's got the dice in his hands, and Don likes to talk. So when you're at the crap table, once you have the dice in your hands, you cannot remove it from over the table. Okay.
Right.
So that's just part of the deal. All right. So he's got the dice in his hands and he's talking. And of course, he's swinging away from the table. And, and all the dealers are saying, throw the dice, throw the dice. Don turns back and throws the dice about 3 tables down.
Oh, no.
You had to see the expression on the face of all the dealers. Their jaws just dropped. They couldn't believe what he had just done.
Oh, no.
And that was Don Newman on the crap table, which he proceeded to lose his ass. But that was beside the point. Anyway,
Yeah.
the only way you learn how to play dice, you need to have somebody next to you who really understands it. And
Mm.
there are some bets that are considered good bets. There are some bets that are considered horrible bets, like the world bet, which pays, I don't know, 35 to 1 or whatever. It's a one throw deal and you either do it or you didn't. The chances of getting it done, not so much. But
Mhm.
they say you make your money really on the back line and on the odds bets, not on the come bet.
Mhm.
But I've watched people make a ton of money in no time. And of course, you can lose a ton of money in no time as well. Fun
Yeah.
stuff. But that's the fun of going to Vegas. They do have classes that almost any hotel has to teach you how to play any of the games you want so that you can feel comfortable as you lose your money, as opposed to being totally bewildered by it. Anyway, um, Marcia, what are your plans for the rest of the year?
Well, we've finally gotten a little bit caught up. It's already time to do the editorial schedule for 2025. So for you personally, if you want to come up with 6 topics for Charlie's Corner, um,
Yeah, I need to speak to you about that. What you would like me to do next?
you're doing great stuff because we love that human interest stuff. So I think we started with rock and roll t-shirts and then your first speaking engagement at Tech Simps. And then in September, October, we're gonna do your first 4-color process class. I believe that's the one you wrote. So if you just want to keep up the memories or if you want to
Sure.
switch to technical stuff, we've got plenty of technical stuff in the magazine. So one other thing I'm really trying to do is get more industrial and commercial printing in there. That's something that was not my forte growing up in the textile end of things. So there's 2 articles. Andy McDougall, his podcast and article, Art, Ad, and Alchemy are always on, usually this year it's been on an industrial printing or flat stock printing or something like
Right.
that, that's not apparel. So, but we're also starting to cover, we found that 87% of our readership does apparel. When I took the job, I remember back to the days 20, 30 years ago, screen printing has been publishing for like 72 years now. And back to the days when it was more of a black and white, like a white paper journal, there wasn't a lot of illustration. And now it's a little more consumery looking, but still with the technical information in there, but a little more human interest with some case studies and stuff like that, so people can read about their peers. And then, so the September, October issues of both big picture and screen printing will focus on the women awards. So that'll take up a bunch of the feature well, but then we're just looking to close out the year with some more good, strong editorial and go looking into next year so that we're prepared. We were a little behind this year with the transition in editors and me starting basically the week before Christmas. So we're back on track and hopefully doing good stuff. I'm loving the covers. I'm used to at Impressions, we had a budget and we would always get something printed specifically for the cover and have it shot with a professional model. And Henry Bernstein, our wonderful friend, who's a great photographer up in Cleveland, would shoot. So we never wanted to use manufacturer shots because I would always didn't want to use just a wholesale shot of just a cute person on the beach in a blank t-shirt. So we've been getting a lot of really cool close-ups, especially on big picture. I loved that one last month of the skateboard. I thought that was pretty cool. And then some real good close-ups. Some textile, we did do functional and industrial printing for the March, April issue. So I definitely want to keep covering that because that's a lot of our readership as well. But so when I say 87% do textile, so many of them also do a lot of commercial industrial printing, a lot of digital printing. We're covering DTF and DTG a little bit more. We're doing sustainability and promotional products in one of the next issues. So trying to cover, we did one embroidery article this year. It's kind of not our segue, even though so many of the screen printers, they are. We have a lot of mom and pops, but a lot of our readers are the big commercial printers that are doing contract work and stuff like that. So they've got all of the equipment and they're doing all of the decorating processes. So while keeping the moniker of Screen Printing Magazine and being heaviest on that, we're also having to cover digital printing because it's such a huge arena, and I don't think it's going away. And we get back to the age-old question, will it ever replace screen printing? Who knows at this point? We always used to say no, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
If you look at the digital market versus the screen print market, certainly on roll to roll, digital is definitely making some major inroads because even though the equipment's quite expensive, roll to roll stuff was always expensive anyway. On the other side of it, DTF is definitely, it was going to replace screen printing. It's really replaced DTG more than anything else. And as much as they're making inroads, screen printing is still over 90% of the industry. And so, are you going to be able to knock off 90% of the industry? You could chip away at it. And certainly, there have been some inroads made, but, I think the biggest thing with the DT, with any of the digital stuff, the companies that are behind it have a lot of money. And so their booth space is huge. They're making a lot of noise. They're definitely advertising a lot more than quote unquote screen print companies, but we still make up the bulk of the industry. And the bulk of it is made up of anything from small mom and pop shops to some of the major companies, hot market stuff. I just don't see someone like, doing Super Bowl shirts with DTF. They
No.
just couldn't get it. They couldn't get it out the door. And
No,
so
they couldn't. Yeah.
any hot market situation is still going to be screen print, like it or not, just because nobody else can respond quickly enough. It was kind of interesting. I was in Bangladesh quite a number of years back and went to one of the biggest companies there, and they had just done a 400,000 piece order for Zara. And I said, "Did you screen print?" They said, "No, they did it on their hybrid machine." And I said, "Wow, how were you able to afford to do that?" They buy their ink from China. So in the US, to do that print would have cost in excess of 50 to 60 cents per garment. because they were able to get the ink from China, it cost them less than 25 cents a garment to do that order. That included labor and everything else. And so that was the reason they didn't screen print. They said because screen print for that size order and that type of order wasn't feasible for them, even though they had major automatics and as well as table printing. And the hybrid situation for that situation was a better option. In the US, we don't have that. You know, if you buy a Polaris from M&R, you must buy the ink from them, otherwise you lose your warranty. You know, do you really want to lose your warranty on an $850,000 machine? And the answer is no, you got to be out of your mind. There's just so much that DT that the hybrids or the combination of digital and screen print can do, to the point where screen print is still going to be a factor in there, even if things don't go quite the way we all think they will as far as screen print. I don't, you know, I'm old enough where I know screen print is not going to be gone in my lifetime. I'm not sure how old you have to be in order for that to happen, but it better be somebody who was just born the other day. It will take, there are just too many things that we can do as screen printers. I'm going to be doing my road trip in a couple of weeks, and a couple of the questions that I got was, can you show us how to do high density? You know, it's one of those things that is now coming back again. Puff definitely had its shot and still does, and people are certainly enjoying it because it doesn't cost that much to do puff, and the results are pretty interesting and easy to get to. High density is not quite to that point. It's definitely more complex and it's definitely more expensive. But then again, as a screen printer, you get a chance to separate yourself from the crowd by doing something that's more unusual.
Did
Yeah,
your clients, real quick, did your clients find any quality issues with those inks from China, or they were just as good as what we can buy, like here from the big names?
you know, I think the biggest thing with any of the specialty inks and stuff is learning how to handle them. No one, you know, you're never going to have a client that knocks on your door and says, hey, can you do high density? It's like you have to go out and sell it.
Yeah.
Which I think is true no matter what it is, whether it's high density, simulated process, 4-color process, other than the simple 2-color vector job that makes up 95% of what we do. You've got to go out and sell it. You've got to show them what the possibilities are, what the upside is, and there is an upside to it. The downside, it costs a bit more. You know what? Separates you from the crowd. Ferraris cost a little bit more than a Volkswagen. You know, you want to step out from the crowd, you do a Ferrari if you can afford it. I just think that not enough screen printers know how to sell. And, you know, marketing is, you know, back when I first started getting into this industry back in the 70s, it was like, oh yeah, we'll come up with a great design and it'll sell like crazy. So we went to the Fashion and Boutique show. We took a space there in New York. We sold like crazy. What did we sell? 1-color designs. Okay, why? They're pretty fun looking. What you found very quickly was it really didn't matter if it's 1 color or 10 colors. It was, do you know how to market? And if you don't know how to market it, it doesn't matter what it is or how good it is, it's not going to sell. And if you do know how to market, you can sell garbage. And plenty of people buy garbage. They get, you know, I mean, look at the internet. There's more garbage on there than you know what to do with, and yet they sell.
What are your thoughts, Sean, on how will you keep screen printing around?
I guess it's sort of a business plan position question. if
Mhm.
our business plan doesn't allow for lower quantity types orders, we don't get a lot of minimum orders. Like for instance, we just did one for 417 t-shirts. It's we're usually 72 plus on our orders. And if it gets to above the 300 piece, we even consider contracting it out to another printer, because that way we can double dip our profitability. We can still make a fairly good margin on that, even if it has to ship back to us.
Mhm.
And we can continue to keep our machine moving on other orders that are a little bit smaller and quicker turnaround.
That's smart.
I don't foresee it ever. I don't foresee it going away, because there's way too much equipment out there
Mhm.
for it to just, halt.
Yeah, it's not
Now,
like an ink bucket that you throw away when it's empty or whatever.
yeah,
So you don't throw it.
yeah. A lot of people they also have an emotional value to the cost of that equipment,
Yeah.
and when they try to resell it, they realize, oh crap, that ain't gonna happen the way I want it to. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Things are changing, but I don't think they're limiting our ability to be able to grow.
Good way to look at it. Yeah.
Right now, obviously, we're going through a bit of a hiccup with things on the downside, and it seems to be industry-wide. I'm not sure, from my understanding, even from doing some kicking around, we're not the only industry that's feeling a downside. Money has gotten tighter, obviously, and so who knows where things are going to go. But I certainly don't see screen printing or any of the embellishment processes going away. It'll just be interesting to see how they start combining more and more things. But who
Mhm.
knows? Philippe,
Mhm.
in France, how are things looking as far as screen print, embroidery, DTG, DTF? Not getting any response. I know he was drifting around for a little while.
Oh.
Oh, well, whatever. I was just curious to find out how things were going in France as far as,
Oh,
uh,
he was muted. He's muted.
there he is.
There he
Okay,
is.
there
Hi,
you are.
Philippe. I didn't know
Oh,
you were there. It's nice to meet you.
nice to meet you as well. I was quietly listening to my my friend, yeah, my American friends, especially my old friend Charlie that I
Oh,
used to meet quite some times ago
Yeah, it's
when
been
he
many years since I've been there now.
yeah. Well, in
How are
France,
things, how
in
are things
France
in
mainly,
France?
yeah, the TTF is quite aggressive, but the problem is that there are so many crap machine that the problem is that people are buying it very fast, and they just get get off from this business because it's a pain in the ass to use it regularly. So after maybe 4 6 months, if the machine is not very reliable, so it's in the bin. And this is what I'm trying to do at the moment, is to the main concern we have got with digital is that they are always comparing with screen printing, say that screen printing is dirty, screen printing uh, is uh, is similar to pollution. Screen printing is not is you have to clean screens. You have to. It's not very easy to use. And obviously, when people would like to have reliable products, they use screen. When the people would like to have uh, decent volume printed, it's screen printing. And but what we can see is that when it is trichromatics or things like that, obviously people are going to DTG like Aeon or Cornet or DTF, and even on the wide the wide the large format printing. But as soon as it is specialties, obviously only screen printing is able to do that. I mean, particles, glitters, phosphorescence, fluorescence, etc., etc., etc. So this is where the difference is. And as far as the digital like the Cornet or the Aeon or the Rock printers are concerned, they need, if they want to have nice productivity and nice aspect, they need to have a wide backup that is made by screen printing. So, well, I think it's a good complementary process, but for me, it's not going to replace screen printing anyway. Only for the easy to go prints, and this is what we can see in France at the moment. So, train is difficult because I think the big and the most problematic situation is the people able to screen print. So it's difficult to find screen printers. And
Mm.
so as it is difficult to find screen printers, obviously people stop screen printing. This is the training, the young people, only the most motivated one are going to screen printing. The others, I think you have the same in the States, but the others, it's easier to click on a button. So than to stick the ink in the screen and to print.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That's more or less a summary of what we are doing in France at the moment.
Thank you for your input.
As I'm more involved in the specialty effects in screen printing, obviously for me, I have no real problem in business. It's just growing and growing. But as I said to you, is that for me the most problematic situation with the digital is that it's levels it brings down the level of the printers, because you don't need to have any skill to print digital.
No.
You need only to know more or less the colors, and that's it. For instance, for after 4 or 5 days, somebody's already trained to use DTF or another type of equipment. But as Charlie knows, it's difficult to have somebody after 5 days training able to screen print. So this is the main problem.
How are
Yeah.
you say you're doing so well with specialty inks, which is really interesting and cool to hear. Do your customers come in knowing what they want, whether it's a glitter or a puff or a high density, or are you having to market those services and educate them about those different inks that are out there?
Well, in fact, people sometimes don't know that it is feasible to make specialties. Like, well, Charlie knows about that as well. But well, the puff, even the puff that is a very old process, sometimes people discover it just now, and they didn't know they were able to do that. Like only the hot foil, or even the glitters, or the retroreflective inks, the phosphorescent inks, for instance, that are fluorescent and phosphorescent at the same time. So all this kind of effect that people don't know. Recently, we made a specialty retroreflective ink that is almost invisible to print onto Givenchy collection. So they people they wear jackets, for instance, where you don't see anything, and when you take your smartphone and you flash the jacket, you see like lightnings appearing on the jacket. And this is easy to print. At the same time, at the moment, there's a problem. Well, not a problem, but there's a new regulation on security that people don't want any retroreflective inks gray. They want it white, and surprisingly, it appears that no supplier is able to supply that. I say, well, you're stupid. It's the same as the gray, but you have just to remove the aluminium.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And so at the moment, I'm sending this kind of inks to Europe, to some places in Europe, because people don't even know that it is feasible to do that. And the child knows that this is some very old type of product. Like at this time, we are supplying to Aeon, to Kornit, to Rock, to a lot of other digital printing machines. The white plastisol backup that is able to have the that has the ability to accept the water-based digital inks, and they that doesn't need any special treatment, and there's a good washing fastness, and that's it. And people are really surprising that we can mix the screen printing stability with the digital printing on top.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And this is for textile printing. Yeah. Then you have got all the specialties like the luxury printing, like for Lancome, L'Oreal, Black Opium, and so on.
Mhm.
And all these kind of things, only screen printing is able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for short sessions, small short pieces. I mean, the guy who likes to print, I don't know, maybe 100 pieces or something like that. Okay, DTF is not too bad, even DTG. But as long as you start printing long runs, well, the price is much better using screen printing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's always a problem about the training of the people. If
Yeah.
there is no people behind the machine, impossible to print.
Mm-hmm.
This is our main concern at this time in France.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
You know, training is always an interesting situation, and of course, I'm involved with that. I mean, I'm a big fan of teaching someone how to do things the right way. And I think, you know, when it comes to DTG, DTF, the quality difference has nothing to do with the individual operating it. It has to do more with the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess to some extent, if your business model is to just figure out how to make money, I guess, you know, going digitally makes a lot of sense in that sense, because you don't have to do a whole lot of training to get it going. You just have to do the marketing. Screen print, you do have to learn how to actually learn how to print.
Mm-hmm.
Frightening thing. But it's definitely more of a craft as opposed to not. And I guess that's why I have nothing against the digital side. I just don't find it to be that the skill level is not really part of it. Anyway,
Yeah.
So anybody can be a digital printer. Anybody cannot be a screen printer.
Yeah.
couldn't catch that. I think my old ears just can't catch that distance.
As I said, Charlie, as I said, anybody can be a digital printer, but anybody cannot be a screen printer.
I would agree. Anyway, that being the case, anybody have anything that they want to say to wrap this up?
Did
Yeah,
you do your Midwest tour?
Did I what?
Did you do your Midwest tour yet?
No, actually, I'm going out tomorrow for a one-day shot. It's my only part of the Midwest. I'm going to Nebraska and then back. And then the second half is all East Coast. So I'm going to be flying in, doing Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and possibly jumping over to New Jersey and New York. But right now, those are out. So pretty short this year. Flying from one to the other. Last year, I put in 3 weeks and came down with what I thought was a case of sciatica. It was actually a pinched nerve in my leg or in my spine. So the idea that I don't have to drive as much this year, I'm all for it. But looking forward to it. I love doing that, my road trip, but seems the only other part of the Midwest will be something that I do in August, and I'm going to fly in and out for that. Not worth driving from Colorado to Wisconsin and then back.
No.
Actually costs less
Well-
to fly up and back than it does to drive up and back.
If you get the right cheese curds, it might be worth it.
Yeah, well. But no, this is the time of the year that I traditionally get to see some of the accounts that I just don't during other times of the year. So we'll see. Kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to getting away for a while. I haven't been on the road. Just been a dead year for me. Between a couple of trade shows, a little bit of consulting, not a whole lot. And so getting out is something that I'm looking forward to. So we'll see
Good.
how that goes. But one of these times I'm gonna end up visiting you again, Sean. Who knows?
Just let me know.
Anytime I'm heading towards Atlanta, I'll let you know.
I'm glad to see you upright, Marcia.
Thank you. Almost died.
It's great to see you back in the industry again after a little soiree somewhere else.
Oh,
Well,
well, I was just freelancing for
Yeah.
3 years and then they came a calling in November and I was like, yes, I'll take it because there's so few editor-in-chief jobs in the printing industry and we all know each other and we're all been there forever. So I knew Adrian left 6 months earlier and I'd originally approached them and they're like, no, we're not going to replace her. Matt was going to take over and then he moved on. And so they were kind of left without an editor. So I was like, yes. So it's been so fun to be back and it's fun to learn about the wide format digital world. You know, it was real tough in the beginning, not even knowing what to assign or who to assign it to. But, you know, by meeting a lot of those people, particularly at ISA, a lot of the product managers are so good about writing really unbiased education stuff. So they're helping on me a lot because it's hard when you don't even know what you're assigning because you don't know what you're talking.
Have you met Deborah Korn yet?
No, who's she with?
She's the queen of the Printiverse.
Oh,
She
okay.
is a full-on character.
Oh,
And
no.
oh yeah, she knows her stuff. She does blogs and little articles and stuff, but she might be one you want to reach out on LinkedIn and connect with because um, we had her on a Shirt Lab Tribe event about 3 years ago,
Mhm.
and she's got a lot of knowledge, and she might be a good resource for you for something
Oh, I
on that
definitely will.
side.
Is it corn like the food or with a K?
Like the food. Let me just double check.
The food is with the C.
Or corn like the band corn?
Yeah. Yeah, CORN. She is the intergalactic ambassador to the Printiverse.
Oh, okay. I love her already. Yeah, I'll definitely look her up. Thank you.
You got it.
Sounds interesting. Philippe,
It was great to see you both again.
Philippe,
to
thanks
see
for
you.
jumping in. Marcia, thanks so much for being on.
You're
Glad to
welcome.
see you up and around.
Yes, I'll see you and I'll probably pop into Fort Worth for a day or two since I'm right here.
Well, that's after the
Oh, that
Printing
is after.
United show, so
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
see
see
you
you
in
at Printing
Printing
United.
United first.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
And then, yeah, definitely look forward to seeing you. If you're gonna pop in and Fort Worth, let me know. Maybe we can jump out and grab some dinner or something together.
Yeah, definitely. We'll try it again since the restaurant was closed when we tried to have lunch in Long Beach. Had to have wine instead.
Which was not a bad deal. I mean, I can understand that. Philippe, thank you.
Bye,
Pleased to
Felipe.
meet you. Pleased to meet you, Marcia and Sean, and a big hug, my friend Charlie. Big
Oh,
hug to you.
Tune in
Yeah.
again. You know what? Do me a
Yeah,
favor.
yeah.
Philippe, can you send me your email address? I want to chat with you.
I will do. I will do. And Marcia, just all of you, just feel free. If we can get in touch, Charlie will have my coordinates. If you need more information about speciality or whatever, and about France, it's a great pleasure.
oh, I would love to. Yeah, I'll definitely tap you for some content for next year. Like I said, I'm about to start working on the editorial calendar already for 2025. So would love for you to share some of your expertise.
That'd be
Well,
great.
expertise. Tease to be an expert. I will see.
Yes,
I will see. I will see.
yes.
Okay,
Thank
cheers.
you
Take
all.
care, all of you. Take care. Bye.
This will all be on
Yes.
my website in a couple of days. Thanks
Okay.
again for all being on. Have a great day.
Bye,
you later.
everybody.
We'll keep in
Happy
touch.
summer.
Bye
Bye-bye.
now.
Cheers.